They disrupt your commute, they ding your car, and sometimes they are the difference between you returning close to home for a relaxing evening or calling your insurance agent. Never fun. Potholes, one of the greatest villains in Michigan. When temperatures fluctuate as much as they have recently, this is when they have their time to shine. How are they addressed by local authorities such as the Road Commission for Oakland County? Craig Bryson from the Road Commission joins us to dive into that subject right now on the Splash Live. Craig, appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you, Tyler. Good to be here.
Glad to have you on to talk about this. I'm sure it's something on the minds of a lot of people. We've seen a lot of these potholes pop up, especially in the last couple of weeks. Part of that, I'd imagine, is because we went from having a frigidly cold winter, not uncommon for us here in southeast Michigan, to all of a sudden it feels like spring outside. Punxsutawney Phil might be full of crap in 2026. How does that weather pattern, that weather behavior, impact our roadways, especially when it's such a sudden change?
Well, that as you implied, that's the perfect recipe for the creation of potholes. When you have it freezing and the water gets into the cracks in the roads, freezes, it expands, then the temperatures rise, that water melts and it leaves a void in the road. As soon as a car drives over it, the road collapses and you've got a pothole. And obviously we've seen that all over the county multiple times as we've had these fluctuations in temperature.
And what's the science behind that, too? Because we know that these temperatures obviously have an impact on our roads. The freezing temperatures, all the salt and the other debris from the winter can have an impact. But scientifically, when that weather pattern changes, how does the way that our roads are built factor in to how these potholes pop up?
Well, the part of the problem really is not so much science, but it's age and dollars. The problem, the area where we have the problems are the roads that are old. It's not the roads that we've resurfaced or reconstructed recently. It's the roads that we have not yet been able to reconstruct or resurface that have a lot of cracks in them because the pavement is old and the moisture gets into those cracks. And that's where the trouble starts. Moisture goes down, it freezes inside the pavement, it expands, and as I said, it creates the void that then becomes the pothole. So it's really a question of those older pavements, those older roads that are the real problem.
The Road Commission, when we have a weather event, will clear the main roads first, those major thoroughfares like freeways and highways in Greater West Bloomfield. Orchard Lake Road, one of the first that will be on the docket for the Road Commission for Oakland County. And so when you have these potholes pop up, is it the same sort of priority, or does severity play into how you respond to them organizationally?
It's both. First and foremost, for our regular routine pothole patching, safety dictates, just like with plowing and salting, that we do the busier roads first, the roads that carry the most traffic moving at the highest speeds. However, when we learn about one of those big tire bursting potholes, that immediately becomes a priority wherever it is. We don't want to see anybody get a flat tire if we can help it, or damage a rim or worse. So we will immediately go to fix those potholes. If it's after hours and we're not in, we'll bring in crews to fix those. Those are critical. And that's where, frankly, we rely a lot on the public to tell us about those, because they can develop almost instantaneously, almost anywhere. And while we're out, we can't be everywhere all the time. So when people let us know about those, we'll get on those right away.
And it's a little bit different when you have city roads or local roads in our cities and our townships here in Greater West Bloomfield or otherwise. How does the Road Commission collaborate with our local communities when their roads, maybe not those major thoroughfares, are experiencing similar issues?
Well, each community that has jurisdiction over its roads is responsible for the maintenance of those roads. So, for example, in West Bloomfield Township, we have jurisdiction over all the roads. So we handle all of those. In the cities and villages, we have a mix where some of the main roads are ours and some of them belong to the cities and villages. And we cannot legally spend our money on their roads, and they can't legally spend their money on our roads. So we each take care of our own road systems.
And so when you have potholes, if it's on a city road, probably should call City Hall. When it's on one of those major roads, the Road Commission for Oakland County would be your first point of contact. For more information, rcocweb.org. You can also follow the Road Commission for Oakland County for updates on our local roadways, facebook.com/Road @RoadCom or @RoadCom on Facebook for more info. Craig Bryson joins us from the Road Commission for Oakland County. We've seen a lot of potholes lately, and they're on the docket addressing that each and every day across Greater West Bloomfield and around Oakland County. What are some of the fixes that are applied to these potholes, Craig? Because the reality of it is we're still just right now, as we're talking today in late February, we could be 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, have another set of snowstorms, another unthawing again. Are these temporary fixes or are these permanent fixes that you're applying to these potholes?
They are not temporary, are not permanent fixes. They are temporary fixes. The only material that is available to use in the winter is something called cold patch. It's specifically designed for use in the winter. It remains malleable even in below freezing temperatures, so our crews can shovel it and put it in the holes. The problem is, though, it is not the same kind of asphalt that's available in the summer and the spring when the asphalt plants are open. And it works well in some situations where the road is dry and where the road around the pothole is solid. But if we're patching a hole where the road is crumbling around the patch and where there's water already in the hole, odds are it's not going to last that long, that the road will continue to crumble around it, and that moisture will prevent it from lasting an awfully long time. But again, it's the only material that is available this time of year, specifically designed for this use. But the ideal solution is when the asphalt plants open in the spring to use what we call hot mix, much closer to an asphalt-like pavement that we use when we're repaving roads, and that lasts much longer.
So how long does that end up lasting, or is there a more permanent solution outside of either doing that or, as you mentioned earlier on, a fully new repaving of the road?
Yeah, a cold patch can last anywhere from a couple hours to theoretically a couple of years. It really depends on what the road condition is around that pothole. But the real solution is to resurface roads. Potholes, in the best scenario, are just a temporary solution. The real solution is to put down new asphalt, either reconstruct the road or just put down new asphalt. If the road is in moderately decent shape, we can put new asphalt right on top of the existing road. Those solutions will get us more than likely at least 5 years. A reconstruction can get us 20 or 30 years. So those are the real solutions.
Craig Bryson joins us on The Splash Live today. We're talking about potholes. If you've seen them pop up in the community, think about it. Local road, you should call City Hall. If you're in West Bloomfield Township, even call Town Hall. They'll communicate with the Road Commission on repairing those roadways, those major thoroughfares. Think Middle Belt, think Orchard Lake Road, even Cass Lake in some different parts of Greater West Bloomfield. That's going to be more along the lines of something the Road Commission for Oakland County will address. Craig, if people in our community see those potholes come up on Orchard Lake Road or any of those other major thoroughfares in our communities that I just mentioned, what should they do? How do they go about getting that word to the Road Commission?
Right, and we do appreciate that information. They can either call us or they can go to the website, as you mentioned, www.rcocweb.org. There's a button at the top of the page to report issues. You click on that and select potholes. There's a form you can fill out that tells us exactly where it is. If it's an emergency pothole that's causing flat tires or could potentially cause crashes, please call us. And the number is 877-858-4804. Those are the best ways to get a hold of us.
Another way to find that information, RCOCweb.org. Craig Bryson with us as we talk about potholes today. Other than, of course, calling in those potholes to get them repaired as quickly as possible by the Road Commission for Oakland County, what other steps can drivers take as they may be aware of potholes being in the vicinity as they're driving throughout our community, or if they're coming up on one to protect their vehicle, prevent that damage we often see this time of year?
Yeah, because of the nature of the weather this time of year, you never know when or where a pothole is going to pop up. So, the best thing you can do is slow down, be aware of your environment, assume that there may be potholes, and just take it slow, particularly on those roads. If you've noticed them in the past, they probably will be there again in the future. So just slow down on those roads in particular. Don't swerve, just kind of like deer. Don't swerve into oncoming traffic to avoid them. Better to get a flat than have a head-on collision. But if you slow down and take your time, hopefully you'll hit them with less severity and hopefully minimal damage.
Greg, anything else that our audience should be aware of regarding potholes or other common issues we see as winter weather fluctuates, or in the weeks ahead as we get toward that final transition from winter to spring?
Well, one thing I think a lot of people don't realize is that while there are certainly more potholes than any of us would like this year, there are actually far fewer than in recent past years. Since we got some additional funding from the state starting in 2017, we've resurfaced more than 600 miles of roads. Most of those roads were the ones that were most prone to having potholes. So we've repaired a lot of the worst roads. So there are actually far fewer potholes, believe it or not, this year than in recent past years. Again, any potholes are too many, but fewer is better. And we're in better shape. We will resurface more roads in this year and the coming years, and gradually chip away at those roads that are most likely to have them.
And maybe one more thing that makes all this construction we see around Oakland County a little bit less frustrating is going back earlier to our conversation where you said, hey, those newer roads, less likely are going to have those potholes pop up than on some of the elder ones in our community. Craig, always appreciate your information. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate it.